Yeah.
Steve Wenzel writes in here. I was wondering what the best way to get to Nakano Broadway from the inner city or Yamanote line is. Is walking doable? I'm guessing from Shinjuku he means.
What are
Uh,
you, some kind of nerd? Uh,
he does not
I
mean that
love
in a
Knock.
bad way because we are both nerds. So
I mean, I love, it's a long walk. I go to knock on a Broadway all the time. So I feel uniquely, qualified to answer this. You can definitely walk. I mean, you can walk anywhere. You know what I mean? It's like, what's your ambition level? But from Shinjuku to Nakano is actually, it's a pretty, I would say that's about an hour, maybe.
yeah, about an yeah. I haven't walked that far. I've walked from Higashi Nakano, which is on the Oedo
Sure.
line, and that was about 30 minutes. And that's east. What is that? West Shinjuku. So
You kind of walk out through
right.
Kabukicho and like up through Shin Okubo, and it's a kind of It's actually interesting from Shinjuku for like a kilometer or two out because you're walking through the red light district, and then you're walking through like what's basically Koreatown. So there's a lot of really fun restaurants, a lot of really fun shops. But then there are some kind of dead periods, like in between Higashi Nakano and Nakano is not the world's greatest walk. I remember it just being alongside the tracks. But if you want to walk, it's not like it's a bad neighborhood or anything. It's totally doable.
It's not as colorful or interesting as other walks in the city of Tokyo, but you could definitely walk it. Look, Tokyo's a very walkable city. My friends at tokyocheapo.com have a guide which I love. It has the Tokyo subway maps, but instead of the time between for the train to take, the time it is to walk from one station to the next. It's a really cool thing.
That's useful.
It's very useful. I used to live on the Toei Shinjuku line, and if I wanted to go to Akihabara, I wouldn't go to Akihabara Station. I would go to um, uh, Iwamotocho.
Oh,
Iwamotocho.
Iwamoto-cho.
And
Oh,
from
interesting.
Iwamotocho, it is a 4 minute walk to Akihabara. So sometimes you don't
Yeah,
have
yeah,
to
yeah,
go to
yeah.
Akihabara Station to get to Akihabara. It's
Yes,
quicker to
yes.
get off on the station on your line. To get to, what's another one? To get to Harajuku, you could get off at Omotesando on the Hanzomon
Sure,
line. You don't have to change trains to go to JR to get to Harajuku. So in that sense,
sure.
getting off at a subway station. It's like that in any city, but if you're not familiar with Tokyo's transportation
Totally.
system, we talked in great deal about Tokyo's transportation system and how we were so confused about it when we moved here 20 years ago. What was it like when you first got to Tokyo and you had to get
Yeah.
public transportation? You live on the other side of the city compared to me. I live closer to the
Terrifying.
sea. Yeah.
It was terrifying. I mean, because you did back when I first came here, you didn't even have the automated ticket gates. You still had people like kind of clicking the tickets, and there was like a person sitting there, and you really had to study the maps to know where you were going to go. Now there's all sorts of applications, Navitime, even Google Maps. Like if you type in two destinations and hit the train and like directions, it'll tell you everywhere you need to switch and stuff like that, which is really great. It's cool for visitors, but it also kind of deprives you of the ability to kind of learn about the city through trial and error. So there's kind of some downsides to it too. But I today even still like to walk wherever I can. So, like for instance, Asakusa, I really like to walk there from Akihabara. You can do that. You can walk from Asakusa down the tracks to Asakusa Bashi, and then down Kuramae Dori, it's called, which is the kind of warehouse district, rapidly gentrifying and get to Asakusa that way. So there's lots of fun ways you can get around the city that don't require trains. Although, of course, you can use them if you want.
Yeah, and the great thing about walking in the city of Tokyo is that you every time you come back to Japan, because there's a lot of repeaters that are watching this, you see the city change. Nothing really stays the same for
Yeah,
more than 3 or 4 years. It seems like it just keeps reinventing itself every.
sure.
I think it's like about 5 years as businesses go out of business, new ideas come in, new business owners come in. Japan is a trendy place, Tokyo in particular. So it just hurts me when ramen places go out of business and places
Yeah,
that
the
I
mom and pop
frequent
places.
it happens. So when you get a business that's been in business for like 20, 30 years in Tokyo, that's a really special thing, I think. We got some more questions here. John Matt, any recommendations for a day trip near Tokyo that is snowing? That's a great question. Right now,
A day
planning to
trip that's
go.
snowing.
Yeah, planning to go for a day trip on my my day off next week. That's a really good question. Look,
I got one.
I usually will get on the Shinkansen. You can buy
Yes.
the Tokyo Wide Pass allows you to get out to um, Karuizawa. I believe it's
Oh yeah.
snowing out in the mountains, and that's like the start of the Alps of Nagano. But if you can get on the Joetsu Shinkansen, I like to get out to Yuzawa.
Yes, Yuzawa is just what I was going to suggest.
It's about an hour, a little bit over an hour away from Tokyo, and it's just a Shinkansen stop. If you keep on going, you can keep riding the Hokuriku Shinkansen, get out to Toyama, get out to the mountains before you come out to the ocean. Just in Nagano, it's probably the quickest place to get to the snow is to go out to Nagano, I think, and into the mountains
Yeah.
there.
But you definitely need to prepare for that. It's very cold.
Uh,
Duh, it's snow. So like, if it also depends, do you want kind of snow in a more, urban type setting, or are you looking for more outdoor sportsy type stuff? That really depends. But Yuzawa is a really easy way to get. You can do like sledding down the ski slopes there, or you can walk around kind of the town at the bottom of the Echigo Yuzawa, that whole Yuzawa area. There's like hot springs and stuff. That's where I would recommend for an hour train ride outside of the city.
but besides going west of the mountains, you can also go north to Tohoku. Get on the Tohoku Shinkansen. You start to see snow around Fukushima. And from Fukushima Station, all you got to do is from there jump onto a local train or bus from the station. 30 minutes. It'll take you out to some of the onsens. Bandai-san. What's one of the... There's Tamago no Yu, which is one of my favorites. It has that sulfur smell. There's...
Isn't
gosh.
Kusatsu out there? Kusatsu?
Kusatsu's out in Gunma. So
Oh, that's Gunma. So
that's not too far
that's
away.
probably, but it's not too snowy either, I don't think.
Um, it depends.
Maybe a little.
I think there should be some snow out there. I'll tell you, it's cold enough in Tokyo to perhaps have some snow, but we don't get a lot of snow. It usually will it becomes Snokyo for about
Right.
16 hours, and then it melts real quickly as soon as the morning comes up.
What about
Turns into
Jigoku Dani?
ice Tokyo. What's that?
What about Jigoku Dani? That's in Nagano. It's like an hour,
Ah,
maybe and a half, and it's where the snow monkeys are in the hot springs. Jigoku as in hell, and Dani as in valley, Hell Valley. That is it's pretty close to Tokyo, and there's actually a great onsen town near there called Yumoto. What the heck is it called?
that
I'd have to look.
sounds that might be it. Yumoto's also in Fukushima. That Yumoto just kind of
Yeah,
like means like bath town, sort of.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
there is one right next to the monkey park at Jigokudani Monkey Park. But the
yeah.
thing is, like, it's very quick to get to Nagano Station by train, and then from Nagano Station you have to take a bus or rent a
Yeah,
car or even a taxi,
exactly.
and that could take I think it was another
A
40
while.
yeah 45 minutes to an hour. So the best thing
Yeah.
to do for me, I just rent a car in Tokyo and I drive the highways because I love the service areas.
Yeah, they're
As,
fun.
right, especially the one when you get out of Saitama and you enter into Gunma. I can't remember the name of that service area, but it's quite large. It's got all of them have like Starbucks and coffee, like really nice coffee shops, if you consider Starbucks a nice coffee shop, and lots of Japanese bakeries,
Yeah,
restaurants.
sweets.
The restrooms are super clean, cleaner than some people's homes that I visited over the last couple of months. I was like, dude, clean your rat. But seriously, the service areas, the traffic updates, it's always worth going it. There's parking areas which don't have the amount of services, and then there's service areas called SA. And
Essay.
if you're driving on the highways here, you'll see them pop up on the navigation systems.
But it's funny you bring that up though. There's also, if you don't want to drive and you don't want to take the train, there's a lot of buses that leave from Shinjuku. There's a huge bus terminal right outside of Shinjuku, like west side of the state, not the west side, the south side of the station. They built this giant bus terminal there. And those go to all sorts of places. And many of them are places that aren't easy to access from by train, but you can get on the highways. So that's another thing. If you look up, like I'm sure if you look up a destination with a bus, that's another way to get outside of the city that isn't dependent so much on trains.
Yeah, Carrie, thank you. It might be Shiba Onsen is the one that's right next to the
Shiba,
Shigoku. Right.
Shiba.
Thank you, Carrie. Carrie's for looking it up, or she knows that from memory.
Yes,
Appreciate it.
you got it. It's Shiba. It's Shiba Onsen. You got it.
Thank you, Greg. Greg Gee. No question there, but Greg, if you have a question, you can write it in there. But I really appreciate it. Suede Hightower writes in here, where are the best parts of outskirts of Tokyo that you can get to by train, and where is the furthest place that aren't cities that you can get to by trains only in Tokyo?
I mean, you can go as far as you want, but like Mount Takao.
Mount Takao, you can go further than that. I think what is it, like near Otsuki, like out there.
Sure.
It's like near the outskirts of Yamanashi. Mount Takao probably the furthest place that most tourists go out to the Tama region
Yeah.
because it's so accessible by the JR Chuo line as well as the K. I think it's the KO line that gets out there. Keisei line. No, I get it. I always get. There's another line, a private
But
line that goes out there.
yeah, well, no, it's KO and JR go out there. The
KO
KO
line,
line
right?
goes out. The
That's
KO
KO
line
line's a
goes
little
out
bit
there.
closer to the mountain entrance, I believe. I can't remember. Maybe JR is. They're
No,
both pretty
JR,
close.
yeah, you have to switch. Like we always take, yeah, you take the Chuo
Right.
line and you switch to KO for the last like little stretch because it's like Takao is on Chuo line, and then there's Takao Sanguchi, which is the entrance to Takao, which is the closer one. But Okutama, there's a lot of stuff out in Okutama
Yeah.
that is very rural. It's surprisingly rural out there, and you can do like night sky things out there that even though you're fairly close to the city. I mean, it's kind of tough to say how far can you get away from Tokyo because you can literally like ride the length of Japan from Tokyo on the trains, even on local trains. Like you can really get to pretty distant places on local trains. The reason people take bullet trains isn't because there isn't access; it's because they're faster. So it's literally possible to ride like all the way out to like Kyushu on local trains.
Oh, I have.
It'd be
I have.
it's crazy. How long did that take?
Um, I had to spend the night in one place, maybe two places along the way. But when you have the Seishun Jihachi Keep, which is the local train pass, which is they still have it, I believe, but it's changed a little bit. It was 5 days of unconsecutive travel for 24 hours. So you get on
Yes.
the first train to the last train. I got down from Nagoya. I was living from Nagoya to Nagasaki, and that took let's just say 2 days of travel and 2 days back. But it was only 10,000 yen or something, so it's pretty cheap. And the
Yeah,
thing with
yeah,
the
yeah.
local train is if you take a book and you take the schedule, there's a book of
Right,
all the train, you start to learn the kanji of the places. You start to
right.
see at a much, I think the Shinkansen's too fast, and you start to really absorb Japan and the environment around you and see
Totally.
local everyday life. And it's affordable. You can stop at the stations when you change trains because you have to train. All the train lines have a terminus where you have to change to the next train. You can
Yeah.
get a bento and get some food, stock up on some drinks, and then you're on the train again for go to the bathroom because not all the trains have toilets. A lot of them do, even the local ones. And then you can get back on and adventure further. But in Tokyo, on those train lines, it feels like you're not in Tokyo at all, like the countryside. Seriously, they're
Yeah.
puddle hoppers, one station to the next, going at a really leisurely speed. And you
Totally.
can see the rivers going by, the Tama rivers on the left side of the train, and you get to see the mountains, and you can see the city change to suburbs, which changes out to countryside, to forests, to mountains, going through tunnels. That's really fascinating about the city of Tokyo. You just don't know that out into the west areas of the city. We talk about this in the podcast, and I have another video that's coming up on the main channel, an edited video where I spend the night in Mitake on the top of a mountain.
Mitake is great. Mitake is great.
Yeah, the temple that I stay in was built in 1776 or something, right? The year of the revolution
But
of
yeah,
the
the
U.S.
first presidential election.
Right? No, that was the oh my God.
Yeah, no, I was, yeah, the Declaration of
Declaration of
Independence and all of
Independence was
that.
1776, and
Yes,
we had to fight for
yes.
the I think Washington came in a little bit later after we won the war, but it was a fascinating thing to be staying in accommodations that were that old, that still
Yeah,
exist on the top of a mountain that you can only get to by cable car. It was really
yeah.
fascinating. And there's room for, it's still not over touristy like Tokyo, but yeah, the city of Tokyo's got all of these outskirts. A lot of it though really requires rent a car. I think that's just a better way to go because
Certainly easier.
it is. But the problem with the rent a car is some of these roads are quite narrow out there, and
Yeah.
it can get a little stressful. And the construction is a lot where you have to stop, and there's a timer. There's no staff out there. There's a timer.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
stop,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it says a 30-second countdown. And then when it says
Yes.
0, the light turns green, and it turns right on the other side. So you have to
Yes.
give it like a second to make sure that all the traffic crosses, and then you get through there.
Yes.
Self-monitoring construction traffic, it's kind of crazy with a little robot or LCD screen or something. But
Totally, totally, totally.
so let's wrap this up here. We had some questions coming in the live chat, but were there any other things? Like, what is your favorite go-to place for a day off in the city of Tokyo? Where would you go?
If it's just a day and I don't have a lot and I'm not doing something specific like skiing, If I want to snowboard or go snowshoeing or something like that, I'll probably go to Yuzawa, or someplace in Nagano. But like for just a quick getaway, I love Mount Takao, and also Hakone is a lot of fun. Hakone is a really easy. That's not Tokyo. It's like I think it's Kanagawa, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's a quick ride away from Tokyo. Another fun place that I like to go to is like down to the Odawara area. Odawara is a lot of fun too. Like it's known for its kamaboko, like fish cake, fish sausages kind of stuff. There's a great castle there.
Oh, it's
Um,
beautiful. That's really close to Atami as well. If you go just a
yes,
little bit
Atami
further on, Atami is a ancient onsen hot resort spring where people in the Edo period, I think, used to go down there and soak.
for sure.
They had a big landslide that went through there a few years ago that was scary. Is if you put in Atami landslide, you'll see maybe the scariest mudslide that took out dozens of buildings. I think a lot of people, a few people lost their lives in it.
Bad stuff.
Scary thing after a torrential downpour in the rainy season. That happens quite a bit, but um, beautiful areas. There's so many day trips from the city of Tokyo. I think, though, what we talked about in this podcast was that Tokyo was the perfect hub. When you look at all the other cities like New York and London and Paris, I think Tokyo is just such a perfect hub because of the transportation that goes in and out, because of the two airports that are here, because of the all of the restaurants and the accommodations and options of every price point. It just worked out really good, and so I'm glad that we could cover the podcast that we did, folks. It was like 45 minutes, I think. I cut that down to 20, which was a shame. There's a lot of parts that we
Yeah,
talked about that were cut out. Kind of us mostly being silly, talking about crazy stuff.
but that's the great thing about Japan. It lets you
That's the great
get
thing
touch
about
your silly side.
podcasts. That's the
It
great thing
is the
about
great thing about
podcasts.
podcasts.
You don't want
It
to cut
is.
that stuff out, but we had to keep it
No,
just on target because we could get a little lost if you're just talking idly.
for sure.
For those that are, a lot of people now want to move and come to Tokyo and move here. Maybe this will be like the last thing we talk about. When we moved here 20 some years ago, it was a completely different situation, and I think now it's a lot.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
go ahead.
tough. No, it's tough to move here, and I don't mean to like crush anybody's dreams, but there's a new like digital nomad visa for people who are like entrepreneurs or like kind of technically focused. But the way I moved over here is probably similar to you, John. I don't know, maybe it's not. I was married to a Japanese person, and so we moved over together. I was on a spouse visa. Now I'm on a permanent residency, so it's a little bit different. But there are like cultural visas and things like that, but it's not like you can just pick up and move here, especially if you're from like America. There's kind of these working holiday things you can do if you're from, for instance, Australia, New Zealand, places like that. Asia might have them as well, but from the United States, you definitely need to have a job lined up or something like that.
Oh yeah, I came here as an English teacher. I moved. Where was I? I was in Hiroshima, I think, and then I moved to Futako Tamagawa in 2004
Right. Yeah.
on a new contract, and I was there for 1 year in a really small apartment. The school takes care. The great thing with coming in through an English school, the hard thing is getting in. The easy thing is like extending the visa. To be honest with you,
Right.
as long
Right.
as you've
Right.
got another job and you're able to make income, you don't have to have the same employer. Extending a visa, it's a visa renewal or no, it's an extension. And as long as you
Extension.
can prove that you have the income coming in, you don't have to be with the same employer. But coming in for that first year and honoring the contract is very important. If you do come in through an English school, I would make sure you finish with that full year. But they subsidized the apartment, so I think the apartment was actually a really small box for Juma yen, or like $1,000 at the time. But I only had to pay 60,000 yen, which would be equivalent to like $400 a month.
Five. Yeah. Four
So
or
the
five. Yeah.
school subsidized about half of the rent and the utilities, which is great. Futako Tamagawa is a little bit away from Shibuya, but it's a 10-minute train ride to get into
Yeah.
Shibuya.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was like the ultimate, because when you first get to Japan, you love Shibuya because of the sensory overload. It's so
Oh,
exciting to
for
be
sure.
there
For sure.
and get tiring really quickly because now it's where all the tourists were. Back then, there weren't a lot of tourists at Shibuya, believe it or not. It
No.
was mostly
None. None.
it was a
None.
very local feeling there. You couldn't see the foreign faces as much as you do today. But
And Shibuya is actually shifting to appeal to the tourists now. It used to
yeah,
be a Japan's like youth it would appeal to Japanese teenagers is what Shibuya used to be. And now it's shifting hugely for the tourists because there aren't that many teenagers anymore because Japan has a like many other advanced societies, has a birth rate drop. But yeah, it's I understand why people want to move here, but it's not as easy as it might seem. Visiting is very easy though, and you can come over for 3 months, have a good time on your tourist visa.
Well, they're working on that now for the nomad visa, longer
Yeah,
stay accommodations, in particular for those kinds of people who want to stay here for working, better Wi-Fi,
yeah.
better connections digitally. All right, last question: where is the best place to live in Tokyo?
Ooh.
The best place to stay and the best place to live.
The best place to stay if you're a tourist, I think, is somewhere anywhere downtown, centrally located. Um,
Pick a
but the
place. Gotta
best
pick a
place to live,
place. I'm saying
pick a place.
Asakusa. Pick a place.
I'd say Shibuya
Shibuya.
to stay.
Why? Why?
The reason I like Shibuya for staying is that I think there's more nightlife opportunities going on there. It's a little bit more energetic if that's your thing. You're also closer to places like Harajuku. You're closer to places like Ikebukuro. Asakusa is great. Asakusa is really, really great, but it really depends what you're looking for. Asakusa to me is more about tradition. Shibuya to me is more about energy.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Matt. Well, hopefully we can do this again, and I'll see you a little bit later on today. Or something. I don't know. We're doing a Zoom call, and I'm using the money for ChatGPT instead of paying for Zoom, so we get cut off here. I can't pay for
Okay.
both. All right. Thank you, Matt. That worked out perfect. All right. Now I'm back again. Let me know if the audio has changed at all. I want to say thank you to Matt Alt. We had a really fun time doing that podcast a few months ago, and it was I don't know. I'd never done anything like that, but when Matt was here and we both had the microphones in there, we had issues with the audio, and we were too far away. We were like here, so it doesn't sound as good as if you're right onto a microphone like this. So we had to work it out. And Peter helped me with kind of boosting certain things. It is a little bit bassy, but certainly not perfect. But it was good enough. And we had Tokyo Visitors Convention and Visitors Bureau help us out with that, as well as Reuters, which is really cool. And that's in the end of the credits there. So we did have some help to set that up. And hopefully we can get Peter and other people to do some of these live streams. Now, for me, just to end this really quickly, your voice sounds lower. All right, let me see if I can boost this here. How about now? Maybe that's a little bit better. All right, maybe that's a little bit better. Now the sound is quieter. It's crazy how this all works out. My favorite place to stay in Tokyo, I'm always going to recommend Asakusa. But I do think for the affordable place, maybe Ryogoku. I noticed that it's within striking distance, but I always think that you don't want to stay in the center of like Shinjuku or Shibuya. You want to stay in the place where people live, because you can get supermarkets. You can get more of that everyday life. Walking around makes you feel like you're in Japan a little bit more. Shibuya feels like an imaginary world where that's not Japan to me. That's like, I don't know, like that's the city of Tokyo. That's like downtown in your face. And maybe that's kind of cool to stay, but I do think if you want to get a Japanese experience, staying in a cultural place or a place where people live is pretty cool. Now, they don't have hotels so much in Chuo Ward, Taito Ward, because they don't want Airbnb competing with the hotels. So there's a lot of business hotels, but there's not a lot of Airbnb options, is what I want to say. Not a lot of apartments, not a lot of stuff in residential neighborhoods, not as much as you would think. They could, but the hotels have lobbied to make it harder for people to start Airbnbs in those areas. So we do have bootleg Airbnbs that are like, my neighborhood doesn't have a lot of Airbnbs. And I noticed that there were a lot of tourists from China, mainland China in particular, that were walking around with suitcases. I'm like, that does not, why would they be here in my neighborhood? And I saw on the news that there were bootleg Airbnbs that were off the books on Chinese online media, where you got the key from a lockbox outside of the apartment. And residents were complaining about the tourists because there were just so many of them. Like, where are they coming from? The police investigated and found out that people were breaking the law and doing these bootleg Airbnb type of things on Chinese websites. So I don't know, but I think that the best thing is to stay in places like residential neighborhoods. Shibuya has residential neighborhoods, but to stay there, it's really hard to find a place. But it does give you your first kind of insight into living in Japan. And it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool to commute and to see that, yeah, working in Japan and visiting Japan is a completely different experience. It really is. And my favorite place to live in Japan, I do think Futako Tamagawa is pretty cool. Kichijoji has been ranked as one of the top places, but now I think it's jumped the shark. I think it's kind of cool, but it's too expensive, and everybody wants to live there because they have a Kichijoji address, and the prices are really expensive now for places, and it's kind of old. It's hard to find newer places. If you've got a family, the Harumi area near Toyosu is a very livable place. One thing that my wife's father said, he's lived in Tokyo for a very long time. Of course, he was, born here. My wife is born here. They didn't want to live in Toyosu because Toyosu is built on trash. And they said they don't want to. There's a lot of Japanese in Tokyo that have been here for generations. They're like, I don't want to live in Toyosu because that island is built on trash. Literally, like, it was trash and garbage. They built the land and they built a house. Do you want to live on trash? And maybe structurally, it's not as strong as the mainland. So a lot of the islands, Tokyoites that have been here for a long time don't want to live on trash or on the new islands because they're not structurally as strong in an earthquake, they say. I think that probably it's going to be okay. I don't know. We haven't had a big enough earthquake to check it out, to test it out. But the Harumi area has got a lot of these brand new mansions. A lot of them go for like $1 million a piece for these 3-bedroom apartments, condos. But they're really nice. They're new. They've got fast internet. They've got all the modern amenities. But I don't know. If you don't want to live in a high-rise apartment, going out to like Nagano and building your own house is an option. Buying land in Hokkaido and building your own house, or getting an Akiya. That's something we'll talk about probably in another podcast or just a format like this. Maybe I'll get Jaya, my friend who bought an Akiya and he renovated it into something that's so beautiful. I'm so jealous of his living situation. Perhaps talking to him about it. But do you want to live on trash? Tokyo Sam is here. Look, Tokyo, Sam, you've been here for a long time too. But if you have Japanese friends that have been in Japan and you ask them, would you live in Toyosu? And a lot of people say no. And the people who live there are Japanese who are moving in from other places that don't know Tokyo so well because it's more affordable and it's really close. Toyosu is on the Yurakucho line. You can get to Yurakucho, which is basically Tokyo Station. It's a 5-minute walk from Yurakucho to Tokyo Station. I think it's 8 minutes from Toyosu to Tokyo Station on the Yurakucho line. That's crazy close. And the rent is like 30 to 40% cheaper than living in Higashi Ginza or in the Tsukiji region, for example. So that's really affordable. But you're living on trash. It's like your apartment is built on trash. If you dug a hole, you probably would find trash eventually. Which is not bad. You might find something you like. I don't know, but you'd be living upon it, which is something. I'll take one more question here. Now Matt is gone. Again, one more time, thank you to Matt Alt. His book is called Pure Invention. You can get that on Amazon or anywhere that books are sold. It's quite a popular book, and it's a very good read too. He's an extremely good writer. He writes for a bunch of other publications. You'll sometimes see him in the New Yorker, Atlantic, some of the magazines and print media. He's doing stuff for them, which is pretty cool to see him in print. Author Matt Alt. John, you should interview the Akiya guy. Yeah, there's a lot of people. He's been growing in this business. There's a lot of people that have been doing Akiya stuff for a lot longer too. And I like to, I don't know, rather than YouTubers, I like to look at experts that are doing stuff out into the countryside. I think he's based more in Tokyo. Um, I don't know. There's different approaches to this, but I have friends that are in this, and I usually like to focus on my friends instead of people that I don't know so well. But I got a lot of friends, so that's useful to tap into your. Because if people are helping me, I want to help them. So that's why you kind of, it's karma, right? If somebody helps me out, I'm going to be very loyal to them, and I'm going to want to go to them and go back to them. Somebody helps me on with camera work, and they do a great job. I'm probably going to go back to them because they helped me out, and I really appreciate it. I don't know. I think there's a kind of a loyalty in that sense, right? Loyalty is important. Mostly Tokyo and the greater. Yeah, thank you, Joy. Thank you. Must visit restaurants under 50,000 yen. That's hard. All right, I can say this. All right, there's a lot of really good popular sushi restaurants, and I think everybody who's coming to Japan should try high-end sushi. You can try sushi zanmai. Sushi zanmai is my favorite go-to. Go to the Honten. It's a chain. I mention them a lot because I've always had really good sushi there. I'm not sponsored by them, and I think that there are a lot of places that have really good quality as well. I've just had it hits that sweet spot in the middle. But if you're looking for high-end sushi at an affordable price, I've been more than one occasion to sushi shop in Ginza for lunch. I'm not going to say their name. Maybe I should say the name. I think it's really hard to get in there anyways now. But if you go there for lunch, the prices are really affordable. I think it's like 7,000-8,000 yen for omakase. Omakase is, their recommendation. It's usually a bunch of nigiri sushi, the classics, and whatever's in season, because you have to get the fresh fish, the seasonal fish. So, look for the lunch specials, and you don't have to go for dinner. You can do dinner, something that's a little bit more affordable. You can go to yakiniku, something that isn't high end. But for high end sushi, lunch, if it is open, usually some really good sets that you can get. Lips in here. Yeah, so that's all I got for you. If you haven't already, go check out that the podcast that we just put up online on this channel yesterday. And it's me and Matt talking in an edited vodcast, video podcast format about Tokyo as a hub for digital nomads, professionals, honeymooners, backpackers, all sorts of people. And I think we had a really fun time doing this. You're going to see a lot of B-roll. So I was able to put in a lot of video excerpts to give you another thing. And it was brought to you by the Visitors Convention Center. And you saw their Reuters Plus, which was really cool to work with them on that. And go check it out. Leave me a comment and question. Matt is also kind of scoping it out, and we'll do our best to check it out for you. All right, everybody, that's the live stream for today. Tomorrow, I have, you know what? All right, I can show you this. I got this. Has anyone ever seen this? Check this out. There's a special spoon for eating instant ramen. Has anyone ever seen this? It's like a spork, right? I'm going to try to eat instant ramen with this tomorrow, or take you out to a place to eat ramen from a can or something with this spoon. It's got it's got a reservoir for soup, and it's got like a fork to pick up the noodles, but they're kind of zigzagged on there, so the noodles go. Isn't that cool? If they made a sharp edge, then you could use it as a knife as well. But I'm gonna go and I find it on Amazon. I think it was $3 or $4. I saw that you can get them at the Daiso. They have spoons that are for instant noodles, but it's like Japan reinvented a utensil for cup noodle, and you can see it's the cup noodle logo on there. Do you see that? So it's like maybe it's invented by them for. No, it's not. And probably because of copyright, they couldn't actually put cup noodle. It's made in Japan, and I'll You know what? I'll feature this tomorrow in a live stream and we'll test it out. That's gonna be fun. Like Japan reimagined utensils for this. It's a spork. It's not a spork. It is a spork, but it's a reimagined spork because sporks stink for soup. Because like this, sporks you have to. It's got the reservoir has been reimagined. It's hard to focus on this, but it's not really it's a spork, but it's not really a spork because it's got perforated. A fork's got 4 things. It's just different. It could be in the spork category, but it's been reimagined. It's made in Japan, like this channel, but not like me, but more like Leo. You can make it a giveaway. I'm not gonna give it away. That's my only spork. My fork. I don't know if this could be something that I put in the daimyo boxes for daimyo supporters. Let me know on Patreon if this is something you would like in your daimyo box. It's kind of cool. But I wonder if they have enough of them to do that. But we're gonna try it out. It's not just a spork. It's more than a spork. I think it's called. Hold on. It's cup men spoon. Cup men spoon. Men means noodles. It literally says cup men spoon, not spork. It's not me. It's cup men spoon. So you heard it here first. Cup men spoon. That's what you would probably search if you wanted to find it. Cup men. Men means noodles, and spoon. Spoon. Yeah. Sam, how was the football game? I got to get in touch with you later. Sam went to the Rice Bowl. So in America, we have the Super Bowl. And in Japan, they have the Rice Bowl. The Rice Bowl, which is this Super Bowl for American football in Japan that takes place at the Tokyo Dome. And my friend Sam, he gets tickets to this every year, and I could not go this year. And I was kicking myself. But I'll try the Rice Bowl. It's like the best name. It makes a lot like they should just call it the gyudon. The beef bowl is a bunch of beefy dudes in there, but it's yeah. I went to a few years ago, so maybe I'll go again. But the Rice Bowl is a pretty cool name because we have the Super Bowl, and I guess that's in the first couple days of January every year. It's American football, and I like to support American football. The Samurai Godzilla Sushi Bowl. That could work pretty good. That makes it attractive to foreign tourists, perhaps. But anyways, thanks for watching, everybody. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments below. I'm happy to answer them. If you want, I would appreciate it, maybe not on this video, but go back to the podcast that we uploaded yesterday and leave me comments and let me know what you thought. The audio is not great. We did our best to try to fix it up. It's a little bassy. It doesn't sound too bad, but it's a pretty good and very, hopefully, valuable asset. And if you like that one, because I want to get the views up on that one, and it's appreciated, then we're going to do more of them. If not, I think it's got a pretty slow start, then I'm probably not going to do more video podcasts because it doesn't make a lot of sense to do something that people don't want. I think there's a need for it. I'd love to do one more in Osaka, other places. We could do video podcasts on all sorts of regions with other people too, because Matt is such a good host. So he's such a good co-partner for this because he's really good at doing stuff on TV, more so than YouTubers perhaps, but it depends on the person. I like to take people that are my friend. Just that's my criteria. If you're my friend, then I probably will do a video with you eventually one of these days. If I don't know you, then maybe, because I get a lot of friends that are doing this. So I will go to them first. Thank you, everybody. I'll see you in another live stream tomorrow. Until then, have a good day. And mata ne. And for those in the US, oyasumi nasai. Now, how do I turn this off? Look at this. I'm having, like, they changed the system. It's not me. I don't know how to stop it. Doesn't say end stream. General. All right. Like, it changed. You're supposed to do this first. Sign out. No, that's not what I want to do. I sort of do. What? Okay, finish.